So hello everybody, we're back. Welcome to Fire Emblem the Sacred Stones. Check out Ephraim's perspective this time and see just how different things kind of sound. Ephraim, it is time I must be going. I'm still Princess of Ralston after all. There's much to which I must attend. Renee's and Ralston are far apart, but that distance can be managed somehow. If you and I were to be betrothed, that is. I wonder if I appear to you. No, how silly of me. Care Pelin. Certainly a difference already. Ephraim, I must return to Darkland Woods. With my father gone, much responsibility falls on my shoulders. Yet I would ask, may I come and visit you from time to time? Well, of course, I'm certain he wouldn't mind that. We're back to Renee's castle. We of Frelia will do what we can to aid in the restoration of Renee's. If you have need of our assistance, you can come to me at any time. And another thing, it wasn't such a bad thing, fighting on the same side as you. That's all. The day will come, though. One day, we will see who is the better. Of course, Inez would say such a thing. Here we go. The final closing cutscenes once more. Where are you going, brother? We've endured so much to get home, and now... I'm sorry, Erica. I must journey to Grotto. I just received word from Seth. In the south within the Empire, there's been an enormous landslide. Oh, landslide? Yes. Word is it was so great that the whole cities were destroyed. They say the damage is so severe the Empire itself is in danger. That's why I must go to Grotto. People are saying this is Grotto's divine punishment. But these are the same citizens Leon wanted nothing more than to protect. I cannot ignore their plights. Yes, of course not. I will ride with you. No, you must remain in Renee's. Our country is recovering, but we cannot rest easy. Someone must stay to protect the realm. Ephraim, I understand. I will take your place until you return. I will wait for you in Renee's, brother. I can always depend on you, Erica. Leon, I will be king. The type of king we often spoke of. Strong and kind in measure. An ideal king. The people of Renee's and Grotto are under my protection, and I won't fail them. Watch and see. There we go. We run through the credits once more. We get to see all these wonderful little pieces of art. We're not going to waste too much time here. Let's just scroll through the credits. We see Leon, Vigard, and Noel. Already we're getting new images and experiencing something different. There's Renak, Dozla, and Narkle. My brain. So wrinkly. There's Ephraim versus Valter. Or it could be Erica, but it looks more like Ephraim. Or Ephraim. Seth, Kyle, Ford, Franz. Oh. I don't know why, seeing these pictures, they're very nice and relieving. You get to see the differences somewhat. You get to compare just how much things have changed. Cyrene, Vanessa, Tana, and Inez. Go. Tevez, Erwin, Saleh, Marisa, and Garrick. The Banditos, as you can say. The bandits. No, the guardsmen, the guild. Erica and Ephraim. Go. Oh boy, that was a lot of fun. Again, I love this game, but God, it was annoying towards the end. Here we go, Erica and Ephraim versus Formatus. It was a lot of fun. Of course, there were annoying bits against enemies, but I enjoyed it. The bosses were hectic. Reeve was annoying, especially with that monster spawning at Ralston Court. My God, there was a lot of units we had to fight. But it was enjoyable nonetheless. I hope you guys decide to pick this game up and enjoy it yourselves, even though it's like really old and probably costs a lot of money. Emulators exist, so play them, enjoy it. Of course, I enjoy playing it myself. We have nothing more but to say farewell to our heroes once more. Thank you, Nintendo and Intelligent Systems, for this game. And we get to see if there's any ending, or any new ending. Oh, are you... My name's Leon. That's me. I'm the son of the Emperor. You are Prince Ephraim and Princess Erica from Renee's, aren't you? I heard you were coming and I've been waiting here all day. I've always wanted... I don't have any friends my own age. So, Prince Ephraim, Princess Erica, what do you say? From now on, let's be friends. We certainly were to the very end. Here we go. Now we get the comparison, of course, of how I did in Ephraim's side of things. For Rigwald, Anthem Ship, and Two Faces of Evil, Last Hope. Wow, I did significantly less in Ephraim's compared to Erica's, which is weird. Here we go. Return to Renee's with Ephraim and his fellow knights. His dedicated service made him the most trusted of the new king and queen's guardsmen, as well as the most famous of knights in all of Renee's, Seth the Silver Knight, Franz the Faithful. He continued to serve Renee's with the same devotion that he had during the War of the Stones. His generous nature and easy smile made him a favorite among the people. My favorite units were probably Franz a lot. Franz and Vanessa. Silent Gilliam. Gilliam returned to his home of Frelia, where he continued to serve the crown as a faithful knight. I also really like Mulder. It was a lot of fun. His imposing countenance was said to strike fear in the hearts of even the most arrogant and rash of Frelia's new recruits. Mir was a lot of fun too. She was a great unit. Moldor the Wise Counselor. After the War of the Stones, Moldor continued to serve the royal family of Frelia. His wisdom served to guide King Annette as it had served King Hayden before him. Vanessa the Dutiful. She remained on active duty as an airborne knight in Frelia's army. Her beauty and determination became the standard to which her fellow knights aspired.
No, it's not even that.
Ross, the warrior's son, or the new greatest warrior, which is his father's son. He returned to Ai, the village of his youth, and helped to rebuild it after the bandit attack that brought it to ruin. Years later, he set out on his own to perfect his fighting skill and hone both body and spirit. Garcia, the warrior reborn. He returned to Ai to help with its reconstruction after the bandit attack. Afterward, he re-enlisted in the army, serving Renee's as a troop leader. His strength, valor, and experience inspired many. Colm, the good-natured thief. He only lost like one time. He politely refused an invitation to become a spy for Renee's, returning instead to his hometown. He spent the rest of his days as a chivalrous rogue, helping those in need from the shadows. Amy, the tearful archer. She returned to her village and passed her days in peace and quiet. Years later, she traveled to the capital of Renee's as an archery instructor for their military. She never could resist a good crowd. Archer, the Saint of Light. Archer moved to Renee's to help rebuild the Shattered Country. He worked without rest to ease the pain and grief of those who suffered during the war. His self-sacrifice made him into a folk hero among the peasantry. You can tell there's a difference already because I didn't get their friendship as high as it was. After the War of Stones, Lud returned to Renee's to continue her arcane studies. She spent far less time locked in her library, preferring now to explore the outside world. She grew into a great and well-traveled sage. Yeah, their friendship or their support, I got them really high, so they admitted that they loved each other and they were married in arrogance. The Tempest King, Joshua. He had returned to Johanna and ruled over it as king. His skills as a leader had grown great, and Johanna flourished as never before. Sam will pass you the hoodie. Oh, already finished that. Whatever. The hoodie! Once the war was over, Natasha returned to Grado to help rebuild the empire. Yes. She dedicated herself to easing the grief of those families that lost soldiers during the war. I missed the rest of Joshua's, but it's fine, you heard it already. Ford the Wild Knights. Upon Ford's return to Renee's, his secret hobby of painting was discovered. He was commissioned as a court artist. His work grew popular, and his days became so busy that he often regretted his career change. But of course, Kyle the Ardent Knight. His service to the royal family of Renee's continued without change. He became a battalion commander and gained much trust and responsibility for training new recruits. Tana, the Winged Queen. Tana lived happily in the prosperous post-war Frelia. She flew to Renee's, often to visit her dear friend Erica. Inez, as king and strategician. As time went on, he succeeded his father Hayden as king of Frelia. His resourcefulness and tactical prowess helped him build a court of loyal vassals that served to lead the country to greater prosperity. The graceful Cyrene. Cyrene continued as a commander of Frelia's Pegasus Knights. Her grace and beauty in flight were subject of many songs and paintings, and her popularity soared. Amelia, the Rose of the War. Following the war, she returned to Grado to assist in her country's reconstruction. She surrounded herself with new friends and used the strength she found on the battlefield to live her life in happiness. Dussel, the Obsidian General. Following the war, Dussel returned to Grado, where he was instrumental in its rebuilding. He spent his remaining years watching over Grado and sharing his wisdom with other nations as an expert combat instructor. Noel, the Watcher of Darkness. Noel returned to Grado, where he dedicated himself to rebuilding it and fulfilling Leon's vision. When the country was restored to its former glory, he disappeared without a trace, never to be seen again. But of course, Cormac, the Aloof Lancer. Cormac returned to Grado to assist in the reconstruction of his country. Shortly after, he left to wander on his own. When he reappeared, he rejoined the army, not as a knight, but as a common soldier. Larko. She succeeded her uncle as ruler of the Ralston theocracy several years after the war ended. She never lost her unique perspective on life. She spent much of her rule visiting the neighboring countries. But of course, Dozla, the Steady Axe. As Larko rose to become queen, he remained by her side. Watching Larko grow to become the queen she was destined to be was Dozla's greatest joy in life. Renak, the Rich Merchant. Larko summoned Renak back to Ralston, and he was forced to return. He was never able to escape his service to the self-centered princess, who became queen. He didn't try very hard. Garrick, the Desert Tiger.
I had to reload.
Garrick continued as a mercenary. Over the years, his reputation grew so great that he had more job offers than he could handle. One day, without warning, he left, never to return. A lot of these heroes, I wonder where they went, or wonder what's happened to them. That's all for your imagination, folks. Tethys, the beloved dancer. She danced from city to city, and the entire continent became her stage. Her fame grew and grew. Large crowds gathered where she performed. Elwyn, the enthusiastic student. Elwyn continued his studies, modeling his life after the teachings of Saleh. Eventually, his education branched off into different paths. His insatiable curiosity led him on a trip to explore the world. Marisa, the Crimson Flash. Marisa became battalion leader for an elite mercenary force. Many men sought to challenge her to a duel, and none of them stood up to her blade. Saleh, the Well of Wisdom. Saleh returned to Carapel, where he remained faithful servant of the Maniket. His days were not spent in isolation. Many of the friends he met during the War of the Stones came to visit his village. Mir, the Great Dragon. After bidding her farewells to Ephraim, she returned to Darkland Woods. She lived a long and full life, served by the people of Caer Pellet, and comforted by the memories of her dear friends. Erica, the Restoration Queen. Erica returned to Renee's and began the reconstruction effort with her brother Ephraim. Seeing peace return to the lives of her people filled her with happiness. Her smile became a symbol of her people's joy. Ephraim, the Restoration King. Busy days awaited him upon his return to Renee's. He oversaw the rebuilding not only of his own country, but also of the entire continent of Magna. His work was difficult, but his success made him a legend. There we go. To end it off the same way.
Does it feel nice?
No end cutscene, no continuation. That is the end of Magville and the story of the Greeks. Hope you guys did enjoy. Hope you guys continue to enjoy. And I'll of course see you all next time for whatever is left to cover here in Fire Emblem: The Sacred Stones. Peace out, everybody.